and welcome from Tony and myself to our consumer programme. Today we've got a slightly different show for you because we're not talking so much about consumer goods and food, but about what you need to buy them with, money. And we start with HP and mortgage agreements.
Yes, and if your family's income has been cut by the 3-day week and you have hire purchase or mortgage liabilities and you think you will have problems meeting your commitments, then let your creditors know. Because, as the Hire Purchase Trade Association told us, finance houses and HP dealers will help people in trouble as long as they tell them before they get into trouble.
So do let the HP firms know if you're on short time and they can arrange reduced payments for you. And likewise with mortgages. Adam Chambers of the Building Society Association said that people must see their branch manager before they miss a payment, as building societies can reduce your payments during this crisis period.
Well, that's some good news, but what people are worried about now is how the crisis will affect their standard of living.
What does the often quoted phrase standard of living mean and how is it measured? We asked the Central Office of Statistics and they said, that's easy. The standard of living is the gross national product divided by the population. Easy?
Standard of living? Trying to survive.
Let me see. I can't really phrase it at the moment. I think it's how you conduct yourself, right?
Prices, the cost of things, you know.
It's what you make it, I should think, isn't it?
Well,
Make of it.
You know, the standard of living is the extras that one enjoys.
Well, it's the standard you can get for the work you do, and the money you earn is like a standard.
Means being able to afford a good standard. Housewife to have a fridge, washing machine, and certain usual comforts, I would say.
Do you think your standard of living has gone up, though, over the last few years?
Over the last few years, up to the last 6 months, and then to me it's gradually fallen and got worse.
Well, inflation is a word that's been mentioned several times by Professor Peston, and politicians never stop saying it. But what does our man or woman in the street think the word actually means?
Everything just gets in a complete muddle. You can't afford anything you want to buy.
Well, seems everything's going to go bang one day, I suppose, and nobody will have anything, and if somebody else will have the lot.
Inflation to me means that everything's going out of proportion.
Well, it means that you've got more money than you've got goods.
What do you think inflation means?
Not knowing.
I think the money is worth. You can't buy the goods for the money you used to.
What causes inflation?
Causes inflation.
Government, I should imagine.
I think
No, I don't know.
the increase of money.
Well, inflation means rising prices, but what causes that? Here's Tony with his description.
Well, yes, I think we all need a simple explanation of the causes of inflation, so try this. A man gets a wage for working, and this wage is a cost to his employer. Now, the employer's costs are made up of wages, but they also include the costs of the materials, including machinery and so on. And to determine the price of his goods, he also adds his profit. So the price of the goods the employer sells is made up of his wages costs, his materials costs, and his profit. Now, if the employer gives the man more wages, his costs go up and the price of the goods will go up too, unless, of course, the man makes more goods in the same time. Prices will also rise, of course, if the employer increases his profit while selling the same amount of goods. Now, what all this boils down to is that prices are made up of wages, materials, and profit costs, and if any or all of these go up, inflation will start unless a corresponding increase in goods is produced. Now, another way of causing inflation is by demand. If every man in the country is working flat out and producing as many goods as possible, but people still want to buy more goods than are being produced, then the employer or seller will want to make more of the goods in order to make more profit. So he'll try to get more men to work for him by offering to pay them higher wages, and so his costs will rise, and so will prices. Now, the reason why people can buy more goods is because they have decided not to save, but to spend their wages. And they can do so because credit is easy, that's hire purchase and bank loans. Now, a third way inflation can be caused is by government spending. Now, governments spend money on schools, roads, the civil service and so on, and they get their income in the form of taxes to pay for these costs. But sometimes they spend more than they get in taxes, and then they have to create, that is, make or print more money to pay for their costs, the schools, roads, civil service, and so on. And the more this extra money is spent, the higher prices will rise because the supplies of labour and materials remain the same, and the government and everybody else will outbid each other for them. Well, the last money questions we asked our men and women in Oxford Street was what they would do with their money now. If they had £5 in their pocket, would they spend it or would they put it in the bank? Save it.
Well, now, I'd be between two minds. I feel I should spend it because you can't get very... There's no point in saving.
Oh, well, I don't believe in spending it all. I like to save a little and spend a little.
Save it? Why? Till the weekend, till you buy your food, and that'll be gone then, and that's it. But you've got to live day in, day out.
Well, if it was necessary, I would spend as much as I had to, and I would keep a little by.
I'd put it towards getting a plane ticket to Honolulu, frankly.